Thanks for coming in and taking the time to be here this morning. I've written a lot of comments here. Normally I try to go off script, but I want to try to make sure I get everything said today. So I want to offer a special welcome this morning to John Moran, John's wife of 32 years. Thanks for being here, Lee. Also to several of our friends in Africa who I think will be joining us at some point in time via Zoom. If not, they'll join us via recorded message for the celebration on January 7th. As many of you know, John was heavily involved in our Mandela Washington Fellows program, in our EA Global program. So several of those folks have joined us. I'd also like to extend a warm welcome from Dean Greg Mosier, Dean of the College of Business at the University of Nevada. As some of you know, today is graduation of the university, and so he has a few other responsibilities this morning. So he's not able to join us, but Greg wanted me to make sure that you all know that he appreciated and valued John's many contributions both to the university and to the entrepreneurial community here in Reno, and so Greg sends his regards. I will also want to thank Carol and her team for putting all of this together this morning. This is our monthly EA EASI meeting, but I'm not quite sure it was so easy today to put all this stuff together, so thanks, Carol and your team.
Thank you, Dave.
You know, I first met John shortly after we moved to Reno in 2004. I think Lee and John had moved here in 2001 to retire. John, as you know, had careers in the Navy and careers as a software engineer. And so when they came here to retire, what that meant for John was to jump into a PhD program in educational psychology and then dive headlong into many of the community efforts, specifically with regard to entrepreneurship and entrepreneurial education. And so he was somebody who was actively engaged in the community. And, you know, for as long as I can remember knowing John, his greeting was always the same, right? It was a warm smile, a firm handshake, and a simple, hey, guy. John was a doer. He was a persistent force working in the background to organize the efforts spinning around him with little fanfare and recognition. He served as the initial executive director for Entrepreneurs Assembly and chairman of the board. You know, EA is built on the principles of collaboration, constituency building, and peer support. The same principles John espoused for his work in supporting communities of practice. I suspect many of you know that a lot of John's work was based on communities of practice, and if you see what EA has become, peer-to-peer mentorship, founders helping founders, it's those same principles that we see in the communities of practice that he was so engaged with. He lived the qualities that we all look for in a good mentor, and he helped design EA around those qualities. He taught IT strategy courses at the university, focusing on broad perspectives on the use of technology for the greatest good, and we very much appreciated his efforts. John was a soft-spoken, principled, and committed to his efforts to support entrepreneurship in our community. He worked on many fronts and with many constituents, many of you represented here in the room today. Several words have been used to describe him, but they're all very consistent in the people that, upon hearing about his death, wrote in to offer their support. I have a couple of different comments from our friends in Africa. Kang Pillai, who I believe was part of the dinner group, as the Mandela Washington Fellows program young man from Botswana wrote. To a man who was selfless and accommodated people so they could be their best and nurture and grow their entrepreneurial skills. He was a father to me. Rest in peace, John. From Iola, John Moran was a generous man who shared his knowledge freely to impart lives and businesses, even on the African continent. He will be greatly missed. I think there will be several people who have shared their thoughts today about John's contributions to our community, but I'd just like to close. John was a deeply religious, committed man And I'd just like to say thanks be to God for all of us and for the opportunities that we had to know and work with John, to benefit from his mentorship, and to call him friend. Matt?
Thank you, Dave. So, first of all, you guys know it takes a lot for me to wear a tie and socks. I'm wearing both today. This day is very special in not a great way, but in an introspective way. And those who know me know I'm not very introspective either. So I'm going to do my best very quickly. And Carol's going to position me so I can be more introspective. How's that working? Okay.
That's for the folks overseas.
Right, and then I'll need that sheet of paper that's over there. Real quickly, I'd like to say, I met John a lot of years later. Very quickly, we had an organization, my co-founder and I had an organization called Startup Growth Strategies. It was originally going to teach entrepreneurship around town. Well, one thing led to another because of Dr. Pingle, Greg Mosier, and a number of other people who may be in this room. We actually brought that whole thing into the U. At that point, SGS was irrelevant. It wasn't a company, didn't have a strategy anymore. So this little thing that I was working on, EA, was kind of coming about. We were up at KMPB holding these classes at the time. And Rod was not big on this, my co-founder. He was not big on Entrepreneurs Assembly. He's like, oh, they just need to go do it. We taught them what to do now. Get the hell out there and do it. He said, I've got some guy you need to meet. We're going to have him at our meeting. We had our meeting over at Sierra, the Grand Sierra Hotel at Starbucks, so we could watch all the people. That was our big, heady meeting in the early days of EA, right? And Rod and I'd sit there, and I'd drink my tea, he'd drink his coffee, and Rod's very curmudgeonly, so we would strategize. But Rod didn't want anything to do with EA. I thought we were onto something. He goes, well, I'm bringing some guy in. I want you to meet. I met him. I think he met through Dr. Pingle. Forgive me if I'm wrong. And so sure enough, we have this meeting this next week, as we did weekly, and John shows up. And he sits down and starts talking about all the things he had done and every place he's been, and absolutely, sincere and cool, calm, cool, collected, not at all like me. And he starts telling about his community of practice. And I went, huh? And Rod's like, and I'm like, because there was simpatico. He understood what we were trying to do and understood how important it was to collaborate. So we get through the meeting, and John goes into this whole thing about what he's done in community of practice, and I'm just ecstatic, and I'm trying to, as you know, my energy levels, I'm trying to keep it down. So I finally look up and I go, dude, you're hired. And Rod looks at me, and John goes, okay. And I go, what? And so 10 minutes later, John, we all say goodbye. John leaves. I go, well, that was cool. Rod goes, well, yeah, now I don't have to do anything more for this thing. And sure enough, John stepped in, you guys, and he legitimized EA. He made us and gave us the ability to do what we do. He allowed the crazy front guy to be out there being crazy while he had my back and legitimized the organization and made people realize that I'm not totally nuts. All right, maybe partially, but not totally. And people didn't believe that, but because John was involved, they did believe it. And it gave backbone to what we were trying to do. And it would have never happened without John's calm, cool, quiet leadership. Very quickly, I'm going to read something to you that I found erroneously. And I was looking for something else 3 days ago. And, oh, thank you. For immediate release, Startup and Growth Strategies Inc. and the Entrepreneurs Assembly announced new executive director. SGS is proud to announce the addition of John Moran, PhD, to the management team of the member-driven Entrepreneurs Assembly. Dr. Moran brings a wealth of diverse entrepreneurial and leadership skills to the organization, and the benefits of his diverse background to the membership will be innumerable. John will be introduced at the next VA meeting, Saturday, August 13, 2011, from 9 to noon at the Community Center room at KNPB. We will also be taste testing a new barbecue product for all attendees. John is the founder, president of Global Gateways. Anyway, I talk about all this. We did a quote. In all of his work, John advocates the importance of learning and systems thinking. He implements these concepts through communities of practice, groups of people who are brought together by a desire to learn more about a common class of problems and opportunities. And then we talk about John's background. Ladies and gentlemen, this press release did not do justice. John did so much more than what we thought he was going to do. This was just a tiny little fragment of his contribution. And again, we would not be here today. This community would not be what it is if it weren't for Dr. Moran. and to his wonderful, supportive wife, who put up with me calling at all hours. And him, he's one of the few people in this world I will honestly say is a mentor. I can count my mentors in one hand. John is one of the top 3 in my whole life, and that's a big deal to me, okay? Because I've fumbled through life without a lot of mentors. And having somebody like him having my back, really big deal. Thank you, everybody, for your time. I'd like to introduce another speaker. Doug Irwin's going to come up and say a few words. I hope he knows this because I was told to introduce him. So if he doesn't know this, Doug, it's not my fault, man.
He's good at winging it.
Anyway, thank you all so much for being here for this tribute. It's really a big deal. Thank you.
You want me to show you where to stand?
Yeah, show him where to stand.
I guess I did know this, but I wasn't fully prepared. That's okay. I didn't say no. You know, I had a benefit.
Wait, Doug, I'm going to have you step a little bit forward so that you don't have letters on your head. There.
Letters on your head, Doug.
It's, you know, this has been a tough year, actually. We've lost a couple of amazing people. When I heard about John's passing, it just really struck me at a very deep level. When I first started the work at EDON, John was one of the first people I met. I mean, I got to join EA, and I feel like, you know, he's been there through every step of my journey through the community, and it's just such a shame. I really enjoyed working with him to know a little bit more. I mean, we went to your house for the Adult College Scholarship, and he just was always a warm and kind and wonderful man. And it just really gives me great pause. It's one of the, it's such a huge loss for our community. His ethos and his vision will continue to live on in everybody in this room, and throughout EA and through the world, through global work. But it just, you know, I still haven't quite reconciled it. It's just been a year of lots of position, sorely missed. You know, he was such a calming force, especially compared to. You know, one of the things that I think really helps drive entrepreneurial communities are people that have strong values, deep commitment, and just continue to follow. And that's something that, so it's you know, it's a real heavy part that we no longer have to do. John, life. Thank you, Doug.
Thank you, Doug.
So, thank you. So, at this point,
Pavel, I think.
We've got one other person who'd like to speak, and then we're going to ask for quick comments from the folks who knew him in the audience. Pavel, did you want to say something? Where are you? Did you want to say something? About John? Well, yeah.
You don't have
Okay.
to. You don't have to, but
You
I
don't
thought
have to, but if you'd like to, we'd love to have it. Thank you, Pavel.
So I would like to say I've been coming here for the last 5 years approximately, and this organization is the reason why our small company is alive and slowly growing. And I don't know John as well as Matt, for example, but he was extremely encouraging to me personally. Okay, always like remembering everybody by name.
Everybody, man. Yeah.
It's something unbelievable to me. I'm happy that I know all my family by then. So you know, like when you start like entrepreneur, all you hear is no. Yeah. From everywhere, you see. Oh, this is not a good idea. Oh, I don't know if you can do it. Yes. And, no, we don't want your product. Yes. And you hear no. So when you come here and talk to John, you hear yes. Yeah, you can do it. It's a great idea. You know, you just need to do this and that, and it gives you like the light that you can follow. Yes, it's really incredible. So to me personally, he totally influenced what I do. Yes. I would like to. I'm really grateful for this.
Thank
Okay?
you, Bob. Thank you, brother. God bless you. Go ahead.
Oh,
I'm grateful.
got it working now.
But he's still alive, so
For today,
Okay, now that we're through the major speakers, we have a microphone. So who else would like to talk?
Anybody like to pass a comment, you're welcome to.
Come on up.
I only met John 3 years ago through Landmark, and I heard his story of getting involved at the university. And in that one story, I got an inspiration that I have shared with investment advisors all across the country. Because one of the biggest problems we have as investment advisors is someone wanting to retire early. What do we do with health insurance? So we're also responsible for sending lots of people back to college. Thank you, John.
Nice.
Next.
Thank you. Thank you.
Come on up, Mary. Mary's from a different aspect of John's life recently. Yeah.
Yeah, about a year and a half, 2 years ago, John, we were at the Education Alliance. I'm Mary Albert, by the way. We were at Education Alliance meeting, and I was putting up the idea of going for a grant for an innovative, state-of-the-art high school for our region, and a $10 million grant that we could win. And you know, EA people are going, oh yeah, right. And John was like, I'll do it. So he joined forces to create the XQ Super School proposal, where we got to the semifinals. And of a very few semifinalists around the country. When we didn't get the $10 million, we decided to go for creating or pivoting, as John likes to say, to an education innovation collaborative, because his gift, his true gift, is his capacity to build bridges and to build a collaborative culture, which is essential, as you guys have found out, but in the education community in general, this is so vital. So Priya joined us, Priya Alawat also joined us, and I have this picture. It's a terrible picture, but it was when we submitted the final application on the super school. And he was our financial guru around developing that plan. And all along, he's been this persistent coach, advisor, calming us sort of the way he does with you guys. I'm like, well, we can do it this way. He's like, no, we have to do it this way. It's, you know, step by step, piece by piece. And thank God, because we wouldn't be an education innovation collaborative today if not for John. Mm-hmm. And my what I discovered this week when we were in Las Vegas at the Education Summit for Nevada, he's still with us. He's still coaching from above. And in fact, I hear him clearer, I think, than when he was in body. So I want to say thank you, John, for everything you've done and continue to do. And thank you, Matt, for allowing you to get involved in the Education Alliance, because we wouldn't exist without you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
How do I unmute?
And thank you, Mary. And what I love is you say is, because I've been reflecting a lot this week, and to me, everything is in present tense still to me. It's not past tense, it's all. So.
Okay. So Barry, if you can hear me, say something. We'll see if we can hear you.
Barry?
You might have your mic on mute.
Adeline, are you there?
You cannot hear me very much. Oh.
Adeline?
Okay.
Hello.
His volume, because he's trying to say something.
Okay.
Okay. So turn up your mic over there.
Adeline, turn up your mic.
Turn up your mic over there. We can't hear you.
Come on, Barry.
Speak.
Yes.
Kenny, please.
Go look in the mic and tell him to talk.
Barry, you're up. Barry, you're up.
Yeah.
Barry, you're up.
The camera's right here. The camera's right there.
Adeline, you're up.
We're waiting for you to talk. Oh, okay.
Did we lose him again?
Okay, he's there, but so is there anybody else that wants to come up and say something while we're trying to get?
Barry, go.
Yeah.
Barry, if you can
yes,
go.
I wanted to say something, about John. I remember that when
Come on,
And
Sherry.
For the photo
Okay, move
shoot.
her over where she belongs, right?
I got to put you
There we go,
right.
perfect, perfect.
Can you hear me, guys?
Hello.
I'm getting better at that.
Sherry Hill, and I don't even remember when I met John. It's been many, many years, but we had a kind of a silent arrangement. So one thing, you know, John always very calm, methodical, and there were times, because we were fortunate, we got to work a lot one-on-one with outside individuals on occasion, and he would tend to call me in when he needed the tough love. So the one thing I understood about John is most of you probably never saw him really get agitated or irritated, but he would. And he would when people wouldn't make a decision, when people wouldn't move forward. And so that's one thing I really learned from him, is that you can do this tough love in a methodical and practical way. But his message that, you know, I know he channels through me is that sometimes just stop talking, stop planning, stop. Just do it, people. And make the decision, move forward. If you're gonna make a mistake, great, but don't just keep grinding it out. So I really appreciated the times that we got to work together and help individuals move forward. And I am just so blessed and honored that I've got to hang out with him for so many years. And Doug, like you, I just, sometimes you're like, I was stunned, and I will miss him.
Thank you, Sherry. So I want to clarify, John never got mad at me because I'm always moving, but he'd get mad at me for other stuff. I heard words that you don't want to hear from that gentleman. I just want to say, and Lee, I'm sorry to tell you, but he did. He was adamant though, and he was so passionate, and that's why people would look at us and go, "How did you two? You guys are so different." And so it was that yin yang thing. You know, I'm out front just pushing. John's going, "Whoa, Matt, think about this when you're out there." He never tried to stop me though, which is awesome. He supported me, had my back, I had his back. And I spoke to him on the way to Mexico, and there were some things going on, but he is chairman of the board. And I said, "John, go have a great trip. I got your back, man." That was the last thing. I was honored to be able to say that to John, as I said, my partner, my mentor, and somebody who means the world to me and still does to this day in present tense. So, Carol, what are we doing now? Are you going to try to get Barry?
Well, I think if anybody can see what my problem is here, I can't get Barry unmuted. You can come up and help me. Otherwise,
If we had a technical person, we would love to find them here.
okay.
If not,
Okay.
let's just press on then, I guess.
Okay. So
We wish to get to the next, right?
the next.
Yeah, please. I'm sorry, Eileen.
I was really over here.
Right.
Oh, be in the camera.
Now, don't touch me.
Don't move. Okay.
I don't want to. Okay.
I was really looking forward to talking to John, because I hadn't seen him in a few months, because I've been busy traveling. Because I would come and he'd be excited to hear about all the good stuff, able to talk me through the things that weren't going so well, so I get myself back on track. And I miss getting a hug from him when I come. He's been a lot sweeter over the years, and you can do it here. We have to make it happen. Always. So thank you.
Okay. So try now.
And that comes from Eileen, who's been with EA from the very, very beginning when Rod and I were still SGS and fumbling through what we were going to do. So thank you, Eileen, for all of that. Carol?
So it looks like we're not going to get Adeli's words. We'll have him send something so we can read it the next on the 7th. So anyone else? So we will then transition into the awards, and you're going to start.
I want to talk about this, yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, I don't think I need a microphone, do I?
Well, you got Brad.
Oh, okay, I've got Brad. Sorry, Brad. So, ladies and gentlemen, one of the things that we've done, this was to be, for the last couple of months, the second annual EA Celebration of Entrepreneurship. And obviously, that's been now become a tribute.
Doug,
But we don't want to lose
is the
the
door
fact
open
of
downstairs?
John's, all of his influence and everything he's done and everything that EA means. And John was supporting me last year when I said, hey, I want to have an annual awards. What? When do you want to do that? In 4 days. He goes, what? I go, yeah, I want to do it at the Saturday morning meeting. He goes, how are you going to do that? I go, I don't know. He goes, can I help? I go, I don't know. And so we did it. And last year we had the first annual EA Awards, and we were about to now have the second annual, and I want to talk about the first award. The very first award is the Entrepreneurs Assembly John Moran Award. And this award is for cool and steady leadership in the face of adversity. And I want to, Brad, are you there?
I am.
We got to get Brad on.
Okay, Brad, we can't hear you.
Well,
Are you muted on your side?
No.
I am unmuted.
So,
Okay, so would you please call me?
all
Give
right,
me a
so
call.
technology rocks, doesn't it? Except when it doesn't work. I mean, technology, by the way, I came out of virtual reality 25 years ago. You want to talk about technology that doesn't work or takes a while to get to market? Holy mackerel, right? So VR is now going to market. We worked on it 25 years ago. So yeah, that's a short cycle, isn't it? Anyway, so we want to do this, and Brad Jones is our mentor of the year from last year. He's our lead facilitator for South Lake. So we were going to have him give the first award today.
I'm telling you, we tested this yesterday, and it worked fine. And for some reason, I'm just not hitting the right button. So, did you call me yet, Brad? Okay.
He's looking pensive.
Okay. Oh, here he is. Okay, hang on.
Okay.
Are you there?
I am.
Put him on speaker. There you go.
Speak.
I am speaking. I am speaking. I have it on speaker.
There we go.
Can you guys hear that?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can.
Everybody can hear you. I don't see Aaron in the room. Oh, here. You need to do this while I switch to.
I can do this. So Brad, go ahead. I don't see Aaron here, but I'd like you to talk about the selection for the John Moran Award. Can you?
Yes.
Thank you.
You know, I'm very pleased to participate in announcing the very first John Moran Award for Entrepreneurs Assembly. This award goes to Aaron Lucas out of the South Lake Tahoe chapter. And I'd like to give you a little bit of backstory on Aaron. She joined EA as an entrepreneur in the fall of 2015. She had a very, very unusual and complicated plan where she was going to develop a artist collaborative that would bring artists together into a common building and develop their skills and also provide events, training, and opportunity for those artists to sell their wares to the public. This was a challenging opportunity for Erin, and she persevered over quite a bit of time in developing her business plan, working with the various mentors, which included myself, Matt, John, Doug, and Carol, working in the South Lake Tahoe area. And Erin was, in many ways, an ideal entrepreneur because each month that she came to the meeting, she was highly prepared in terms of having done her homework. She was highly prepared in being able to articulate where she was in her plan, and she was very attentive to the ideas and suggestions that came from the mentor group as well as her peer group within the South Lake Tahoe area. She went through all sorts of processes in terms of identifying a location, securing that location, managing the negotiations for the lease, inserting herself into the artist community in this town because she was not from South Lake Tahoe. And she persevered in the very beginning, from the very start, in developing her business. And she opened it in in July of this year. And we had a meeting long about August or so, September, and she came to this meeting, and in attendance was myself and Carol and several other local entrepreneurs, Janae and Blaze and Darren. And Erin came to this meeting and was quite crestfallen. And she had described, look it up, she was quite crestfallen in terms of the business had not materialized as she had thought it was going to happen. And so through a lot of discussion with Carol and myself, and with tremendous support from the entrepreneurs that were at the meeting, she made a huge pivot in terms of how she was going to operate her business. In particular, how she was going to attract the artists and close the sale in terms of getting the other artists to rent space, occupy space within her complex, which was well over 5,000 square feet. So she had some intense marching orders, and she walked out of that room with her head high and with a plan in hand to accomplish this pivot. And in the next few months leading up to today, there's been a transformational change in her business. She has been able to fill every single slot that she had available in her location. She has had multiple events at her location featuring artists, including local artists as well as traveling artists. She has also had an enormous write-up in the local paper that has got her great publicity, and she ramped up her marketing plan to be very effective, creative, and innovative. And so I'm very pleased to see her development as an entrepreneur, and I'm more particularly pleased to see that she was able to make a magnificent pivot and adjust her business in order for it to be successful. So I think this is an individual who had adversity in the development of her plan, the execution of her plan, and then faced additional adversity when it didn't quite meet expectation. She made a huge pivot and is now seems to be well on her way to having a successful business with the potential of even scaling at some point in time. So, Erin, if you're in the room, my personal congratulations to you. And I think it's very exciting. And Erin, if you're not in the room, you're probably in your shop selling something. So,
No, she's walking the door, so I'm glad you've been speaking because we were trying to stall.
Oh, is she on her way?
Is she, Janae, how close is she?
Is she there?
So she's a few minutes away still, Brad. So what I'd like to do right now is, Janae, can you come up and accept in front of everybody, and then we'll give it to her when she gets here. So her friend, peer, and mentor from Lake Tahoe Yoga, everybody, give a hand, please, for Erin. I'm sorry, for Janae, for Erin. Rough morning. So let's go ahead. Brad, hang with me. So there is the award that's going to go to Erin today, to John Moran, Entrepreneur of the Year. And this will be obviously the first annual. This will go on in perpetuity. So this is the first thing we can do to honor our friend. And we're really honored that you guys are a big help to. So thank you. What do you want to say? Since we're obviously not here.
I texted her to say I was running away. And she was like, I'm running late. I emailed Carol that I lost her phone number.
Oh.
So I said, all right, I'll let them know. Erin's been amazing, and I've been that much bigger for years. And when Erin joined, exactly what Brad said, she had this incredible idea that's absolutely amazing. And we encouraged her to go with it, but there were some ups that she had to keep shifting and pivoting, and she has done. And if you come up to South Lake, definitely come to her space. It's incredible. She has an amazing vision, and seeing it come to life is just really impressive. And Tom needs what Erin's bringing.
We need that enthusiasm, and we need the artists being encouraged to do their work instead of what we tend to have is a lot of just art galleries with, average work. This stuff is incredible. So
Nice.
come on up, come to Unidad, and come check out what she's doing.
And check out Lake Tahoe Yoga, Janae rocks it. Why don't you take that?
I
Thank
will.
you so much. And when Erin gets here, we'll introduce her. Thank you. We're going to go through these. We've got a couple more awards real quick in an order.
I'm gonna hang up. Brad.
And so, which is the next one? I'm sorry?
Mentor of the year. Oh, wait a second. Let me get back to the.
I'm sorry. So the next thing we want to talk about is
Hang
our
on.
Mentor of the Year. And ladies and gentlemen, there are a lot of people in all 6 chapters who could be Mentor of the Year. There have been influences from peer-to-peer mentors, from our lead mentors, our facilitators. We couldn't do what we do, and everybody, as you know, part of EA is a volunteer. This year in particular has been very special. We've had, been working out of Carson City. We've had some really great entrepreneurs down there, both lifestyle businesses and growth companies. And we've had several great mentors come out of Carson City, but none more important than the gentleman I'm about to introduce. This gentleman, it comes out, he's been an entrepreneur, he's been a mentor, he coaches the mountain bike team in Carson. Yes, being a mountain biker. He's an avid outdoorsman. He's an incredible mentor. He's got a diverse wealth of background, currently leading Bentley's new initiative into alcohol manufacturing. I think I can say that. Can I say that? Adult beverages, forgive me. And he has been with Bentley now for years and leading this brand new initiative. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to give a great round of applause to Carlo Lori. By the way, he's kind of bashful, kind of guy. So I'm hoping he'll give you guys a few words.
Good morning, everybody. So I'm humbled and honored to receive this award, and I think Matt's right. I generally consider myself an introvert, and I was encouraged by recent. There was quite a lot of business knowledge out that introverts can be very successful.
That's right.
You don't have to be an extrovert. But I've been really lucky. Had a lot of great business opportunities in my life, and it's always been when one door closes, another one opens. And so I feel really lucky. I was in Dave's class at UNR when I got my MBA. A lot of great knowledge from that program. And I just felt like I wanted to give back. And I learned about EA through the Adams Hub in Carson City. Great organization. And I just want to say I work for Bentley down in Minden, where we're building a whiskey distillery. That's the adult beverage. And I'm in charge of government affairs, so I go to a lot of meetings every month. But the EA meeting in Carson City every month, that's the one I actually look forward to. It's for me, it's an opportunity to learn. People might think the mentor's there to teach other people, how to do entrepreneurship, how to do business. But for me, it's just exciting because every time I go, I learn something new about myself and learn something new about our great business ecosystem in the area. So I think that's what I get out of the program. I probably get more out of it than I put in. So that's always a good thing.
And we would dispute that fact, by the way, because you bring a lot to the table, and it's wonderful. Carlo, thank you so much, man. Ladies and gentlemen, Carlo Lori. Thank you. So I'm going to I'm going to do one more here.
Yeah.
I'm going to do one more. We are now going to talk about the Entrepreneur of the Year, and then I'm going to pass it over to Carol. Again, just like before, we've had a lot of wonderful entrepreneurs come through EA. We've had great scalable companies come through. We've had great lifestyle companies. The successes that we've been able to nurture over these last 5 years are pretty innumerable on many levels. But there's nobody who has come through from ideation and technology into the marketplace and struggled and strived and stayed on course, more determined and overcoming more punches here in Reno than our next recipient. So ladies and gentlemen, Pavel Solin of NC Labs, our Entrepreneur of the Year for EA 2017. Come on up here, Pavel. Give me a man. Nice. Sorry if there's harassment going on right now. I apologize. I'm not making fun of it, believe me. So thank you. Go ahead, Pavel.
Do I have to use the mic?
Yes.
Yeah, for the recording.
Okay. So thank you so much. It's really moving. Okay. And I would like to say that without this organization, we would, our little company would probably be alive right now. So it was a lot of encouragement that we received over the years, and also a lot of connections. It's incredible how much traffic there is here in the EA. So like, if you want to meet somebody, every entrepreneur needs somebody, and you cannot work alone. So you need to come here. Everybody needs to know. So I personally know about people, who don't come here, and I always try to encourage them. I tell them, look, should I have been working myself alone on this project, which my development team calls a spaceship. That's how they call NC Lab, okay?
It's a spaceship.
They call it a spaceship basically to find an excuse that they cannot do a better job, okay? Software developers, call it a spaceship to indicate that it's so huge that basically nobody can really, do it all, okay? So I would like to say, if I may, I'm very pleased to have our entire team here.
Oh.
And if I'm receiving this award, then it's only on behalf of this entire team, okay? So they are sitting here. First of all, Vas, who is our CEO. Can you stand or raise your hand? Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, my style of work, can be called a tsunami. Okay. I just storm the work. I can do an overnighter. I just work. And I believe I can do everything. Okay. So he's the person who is like John Moran behind this guy. Who says, Pavel, no, not 10,000 things. All of them are good, but let's do this first. Let's do this next.
It's true.
It's totally, essential. Okay. So if you are like me, an enthusiast, infinite energy, doing everything, you need a guy like this. Okay. Then we have Sheila here, who is our director of education. He has been an educator for many, many years. So he has this wavelength. He can connect with teachers, and with educators. Okay. And he is contributing this aspect to our software. So we do educational software. Yeah? And then we have Javier. Javier Morales is the director of NC Lab Mexico. As it turns out, and which will be surprising for many of you, the educational system in Mexico makes more sense than the educational system here in the US. It's more systematic. For example, all of Mexico uses the same textbook. And then they don't have to spend 30% of time on testing, trying desperately to make sure that the kids learn something. Okay? There is too much democracy and freedom of choice in this educational system. And then people have problems handling this. So this is not the case in Mexico. It's very well planned, hierarchic.
How do you really feel, Pavel?
Sorry. Okay, no, I'm done introducing my team.
Dude, say whatever
We
you
like
want
your
to
passion. Come on back here so we have you on camera.
And also,
come back here on camera.
Oh, so sorry, I don't want to take much of your time.
You have another person.
I would like to
Another team.
Oh, Eva Morales is with Javier, he's his daughter.
Oh.
And Eva Morales, Eva, can you please stand up? So Eva is helping us a lot, translating stuff into Spanish, and communicating with teachers in Mexico, because she is Mexican. By the way, I speak Spanish. We speak Spanish when we work with Javier and with Eva. So as I said, I don't want to take much for them, but I would like to say one more thing. I'm really very grateful to this organization, and I would like to make a little pledge. Okay, right now, next year, if these guys work, the predictions are true. Our revenues should exceed $1 million next year.
Yeah, Pablo, yeah.
So when this happens, we will make the first donation to the EA.
Oh my God, what?
Keep it going.
Hold on a second. A what
Yeah.
to EA?
I told him years ago that I would like to do this, and I'm known to keep my promises. I never forget.
God bless you, Pablo. Thank you.
This will happen. I'm sure with these guys, it will happen.
Thank you so
very
much.
much.
You are. Thank you, Pablo. All right. So, Pablo, this is for you. This is for your team. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I can't wait to see what the next year brings, especially since what you told us.
No, it will work.
So,
You sure you don't want to do
no, I'm going to have you do it. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to pass over now the baton to Carol, who's going to present the final award. We are on time. I can't believe I'm saying that. For those of you, a couple quick things. After the tribute, you're welcome to stay, meet somebody, catch up with folks here. For those who are here for the EA Roundtable and want to try to get something done, God bless you. Let's do it. We're going to be downstairs. At noon today, I'm going to be giving an overview of a brand new module I just built for the Sontag folks on how to build and deliver a winning pitch. For those of you who might be interested, you're all welcome to stay. It's actually gone pretty well. We've done it a couple times. We're going to do it again today. Dick, is that in this room?
I don't know. You made me
Oh, I think it's here. I think it's here at noon is where it is.
Yeah.
So in this room at noon. So again, we're going to be in this room now. After this ceremony, those who want to get to the round table can go downstairs. Everybody else, hang out, share some hugs, share some laughs, share some stories. In the meantime, Carol Hines with our final presentation.
Okay, I need you to run the computer.
Oh, good. Oh, that'll be good.
So all you have to do is when I nod, you hit that thing, and then
Okay, that button?
this
Oh, that
one,
one. Okay, got it.
and hit it once,
Okay.
and then hit it another.
I can do that. Yes.
Okay, so the last award is Chapter of the Year. It's really hard to choose the Chapter of the Year. What do you use as a criteria? But because every chapter is very, very different. And if you tried to make them all the same, Reno would always win. Because Reno has been there a long time, been here a long time. We've got all sorts of entrepreneurs coming through. We have some people like Pavel who had great successes. We have a chapter at the lake. You know, we gave the John Moran Entrepreneur of the Award here to the lake because that group, what happens up there, one of the magic that happens there, which is a magic in EA, is the peer-to-peer and the founder-to-founder mentoring. Janae comes as an entrepreneur, and she brings us some really cool projects. But when she's in the room and she hasn't had a really bad day, whoever is there as a mentor doesn't have to speak up because Janae is there helping all the other people, and that's what happens up at the lake. Sometimes all we have to do is make sure the room is available and show up to be there to make sure not one person dominates the conversation. And then we have Henderson and we have Las Vegas, and they're developing their own personality. And we have Incline, and the personality up there has been more about students. And we're going to start looking at doing more outreach up there. But the chapter that really shined this year, and I think they started in August of
2016.
Yeah, it's Carson
yeah.
City.
Yeah.
So hit that button.
Boom.
Hit it again.
Hit it again, she says.
There we go. I didn't prepare any remarks about Carson City because Aaron, shut up. We'll get back.
Oh.
I didn't prepare any remarks because I was just too busy making sure that we got the spelling corrected. So what I'm going to do is some very significant things happened in Carson City this year, including that we got a new lead for our chapter down there. And so here to accept the award for Carson City chapter is Diane Dye Hansen. And Diane introduces herself as the president of the chapter. Now, we have not come up with that term for our chapter leads, but I think she's earning it. And by the way, she had to go pick up the award last night because they had spelled it wrong. She spelled chapter wrong. So thank you for bringing the award.
Thanks for bringing your own award.
Yeah. Well, I kept it in the cellophane so that I was surprised. It's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh. Carson City, the first time I joined as president of EA, and actually Maya McKenzie gave me that title. She's like, what do you want to call yourself? You want to call yourself a czar? And I'm like, I don't want to be a czar of anything. No way. But I was really honored because the first time I came to Entrepreneurs Assembly, I felt like I found my tribe. I found my people.
That's not me, by the way.
We're doing a conga line here. I found my people. I walked into this room and there are all these great minds having great ideas, and no one's, nagging on each other. No one's saying, oh, your ideas, blah, 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 blah. Everyone's saying, yes, and let's try this, let's try that. So there was a true love and a true support and a true vision for each other. And I like to call Carson City the chapter of friends, because we really are friends. We are friends helping friends succeed every day. And whether that success looks like building and starting an idea because, gosh, my 9-to-5 is tearing me apart, or that succeed is I want to scale because it's time to go to the next level. The friends come together. They love on each other, they network, and they just really rise the boat. They take that boat and they lift it up in Carson City. And even in just a short time that I've seen it in Carson City, I feel like it's even changed the temperature of the town. It really is. It's a beautiful, beautiful chapter. I encourage you, please, come down to Carson City and experience our chapter of friends, because we would love to have you. Thank you.
It's Wednesday night, too.
Yes, Wednesday night.
Wednesday night for those of you who
So, Aaron, come on up and bring your award.
Yes.
Welcome to EA. So much. You bring a wealth of it.
Yeah.
So, real quick before we split, Aaron is here, our John Moran Award recipient. Brad got to tell you about her, and so did Janae. Ladies and gentlemen, Aaron Dulcicas. Is that close?
Close.
So look into the camera and wave to Brad.
Hi, Brad. I did make it.
So please, just a few words about whatever you want to say.
Just to the crowd.
Okay. Pretty much, I've been with EA for about 2 years now, and there is no way in hell that I would have gotten as far as I have without all of my support in this family. Like, I'm so stoked on this group and the progress that I've made and the opportunities that have been available to me through it.
Beautiful. I'm already mushy. So anything else you want to say, it's up to you. I beckon you to go talk about High Vibe Society and where you are up there.
Okay, so High Vibe Society is basically it's a community creative space for the modern creative entrepreneur. We have an artist studio space. I have a gallery and music venue up there. We're doing workshops. We're installing a ceramic studio and black and white darkroom in there. And it's all just based on the community telling me what is missing there and what they need. And it's been really amazing. So far, I have 35 artists that are involved with us. We have about, I would say, 50% capacity on studio space, and we're only 6 months old, so it's pretty amazing. And then we've been having a crazy amount of events. Basically, we consistently get about 100 people to each of them, which is really good for South Lake. I don't know if you've been up there.
It's amazing.
But people don't like to commit to anything. Yeah, so it's a surprise. But yeah, it's just been a really amazing and rewarding journey, and I really appreciate EA for being a part of that.
And we appreciate you for doing what you're doing up there. You've changed the climate of South Lake. Between you and Janae, you guys like taking over South Lake. It's awesome. So thank you for what you do. We'll be here for you all the time. All right, thank you.
So stay here. Okay. That's the end of the award ceremony. How many people are going to stay for the workshops?
Okay, good.
Okay.
Good.
So what we were going to do is go downstairs for the workshops so that we could let people hang out up here. So take a little break, get some food, and go downstairs. But the people that won awards, please come up for a quick photo. And thank you all for coming.
Thank you, Lee Moran.
Thank you, Lee.
Thank you, Lee Moran, for nurturing that. Thank you.
Yes, and we need the
Forever.
mentors downstairs.
Forever indebted. Thank you.
So you go take care of that.
You guys, thank you all for being here. I can't tell you what it means to EA and to all the other people in the room that you all came to be here for this tribute. God bless you all. Happy holidays. And thank you. And please do what you can to help EA. We can use all of your talent. Thank you.
So who's going to take the picture? Okay. We're going to sign off now, Jim. Brad, we're going to sign off. Bye. Wave goodbye to John. Okay.